Hey, what's up everyone? This is my third video I filmed of the day. I'm just kind of banging them out because I have a list of video ideas, and I guess, why not just go through them all at once, yeah? This isn't my college dorm room, not the same area as my shop. It's just not the right feeling. I think I said that in the first one. But anyway, we're going to be going over my current collection as of November 2022. This here is my knife case. It's cheap. Got it from a Walmart for buying a box of Band-Aids. You get a free case or something like that. We open that up. Should probably throw this in. Yeah, I already did a pocket dump kind of thing. EDC showed off this bad boy. It's my BT Fighter. These are button lock, pretty dope knives. And not in a bad steel or nothing. And for 50 bucks, you can't go wrong. We might as well do the next folder. This here is something that was my grail when it came to folders. It took me 2 years to find one of these, pain in the butt. This here is the ZT55 S35 VN blade, titanium handle. This here is a frame lock. It does have bearings. I've taken this apart twice. It has a cool mechanism called the SLT, or spring-loaded tab. It's this little bit back here. I didn't hear that, but basically, there's the flipper tab is on a spring to keep it a little more hidden, a little more streamlined. And once you pull that back, you can really get some leverage on there to fling it out. I mean, it feels like it's spring assisted, even though it's not. And the action is just, butter smooth. Let's see if I can do that a little bit better. I know it's, camera angle ain't exactly helping me, but I do need to clean it. It is grinding a little bit. I think I got a little bit of dirt inside of the ball bearing on the frame lock goes in, but it's not the worst. This thing can be taken apart in a couple minutes. Guess we'll probably start cheap to most expensive. I don't see why not. Here is my V1 Tanto Kraken. This here is number 775 out of 800. It's kind of a piece of garbage. I've thrown pivots in the bottom of it, but give it a little tap test. And it's not exactly doing well tolerance-wise. I bought this thing solely to steal handle dimensions off of for my Kraken rehandle project that's happening sometime. Maybe when I'm on Christmas break or something like that. But not a bad knife. I do like the V2 Bowie Krakens a lot, but it's gotta be, I think, the green one. The green one has just a slightly different texture. Every gen of Kraken has a slightly different texture on them, depending on how far they mill down the texture. These V1s, it's like there's nothing there, which is, one of the reasons I do like it. It's a V1. It flips different than all the other ones they've made so far. The handles are also a little bit thinner and more, what would you say, blocky, rectangular. I guess it's more squarish, to be honest. But yeah, I got this bad boy. Has definitely seen better days. We got some rust going on the blade there. Scratches all over it. I just don't maintain it very well. It doesn't really matter to me that much. I guess my next cheapest knife is probably this rep. Probably saw it in my rep collection video. This bad boy is one of my favorites. This has JT rep scales on it, double black micarta with matching spacers. I have buffed it to 2000 grit because out of the box, JT does leave his stuff a little bit grippy, but I'd rather have it a little bit grippy than too smooth. So it is pretty easy to just sand them down. This bad boy should have some pretty good tolerances. Just a little bit of tap. It's a blade alignment issue. Washer's a little funky. Moving on, I guess the next cheapest one is probably this bad boy. This here is my 1-of-1 finger manipulation reps. It's in pink, pretty dirty. I need to clean this. But not much to say about it. Another knife that was in my my rep collection video. Tolerances are not exactly great on it, but I normally run it unlubed. It has a little bit of lube in it, which probably sounds a little more to what people want in a rep. But I prefer it only. It just flips better that way. Next up on the list for the least expensive, be this rep. Not going to open it up any further than this. If you're a blade show, you know. But these are another set of JT scales. These were custom made to be more rectangular, more like V1 or old FM scales, the real blocky ones. These are completely smooth compared to the FM stuff. And the texture with this G10 is just immaculate. I freaking love this thing. It does weigh 5 ounces though, so it's not exactly a knife for everyone. It is very well balanced. Guess probably the next cheapest knife would be here in the back. This is one that I don't show a lot of love to, but I do love it very much so. This is the knife I've owned the longest. I've had this I got this like month 2 into flipping. This came from Matt Brotherton way back when he was just offloading his collection. And it has gone through 2 re-anos by Frosted Design. This is the most recent one. This is probably the last ano he ever did, at least for a customer. And it was a little bit of a hassle to get him to do it, but I freaking love his LSD anos. It's just a really, really pretty ano. Certainly does look a little faded. I don't have any Windex or nothing up here to make it really shine. It's got that Scimitar AB blade. This is the slightly older finish. This was a premium Infinity from back in 2018 is when this exact knife dropped. This knife was in the batch of 2018 when they dropped the anode premium Infinities. This was a purple one. I should have kept the purple ano. No idea why I got rid of it, but huge regret for me on getting rid of that. The only real damage on this knife is right here on the blade. It's probably not going to show up super well, but I did try and sharpen this once and put little micro scratches all throughout the finish here. And that's just something that I have to live with because there's no way I'm refinishing this blade or getting a new blade that looks the same because these are way, 2018, it's been 4 years. I haven't seen another premium Infinity pop up, ever. Never mind, scratch that. I saw a blue one, but that was from one of the more recent drops. And the recent drops, they just aren't the same, It is tipped, I guess, but this thing is still pretty sharp. I did resharpen it not too long ago correctly, but yeah, this bad boy has been around for a while. Next up on the list is probably this rep here. This is a V1 rep. I had a Tanto blade on it for my rep collection video. I have swapped it back to what I originally got it as, which was an alt blade. They never produced V1 alt reps. They just don't exist, but you can put an alt blade on them, and they are arguably better with the alt blade. I mean, the balance on this thing is perfect, and I just wish more people would put them like that, but at the same time, there's so few V1 reps. Of course, Ryan CC9, I believe is his username on Instagram, has like 1 billion of them, or he seems to always have one, or 3 or 4, but you don't really see him in this condition anymore. This is the 3rd V1 rep I've ever owned, and the scales on this are just perfect. And it took me forever to find one in good condition. That was basically what stopped me from buying one for a while. The liners on this here are a little bit questionable. They don't really look quite right, but that could be because it is actual V1 liners. It's been a while since I've, had a V1 to compare it to, but someone did heat ano them, which leaves it a little interesting on the color. You get some brown, green. Up here is like a little bit of bronze. It's just all over the place on the color, but it adds a little bit of character. I could remove it. I could make it all uniform, but I kind of like it how it is. I wish they had kept it a little more consistent because I, look a little bit better, but I'm leaving it how it is. Moving on, next probably would be this here. I did clean up this rep since the last time I showed it. This here is a turbo channel. They are technically, when it gets into definitions, I'd say this is a chan-wich, you know, channel sandwich. As in there's a channel with a sandwich knife. I wouldn't say the Gale is chan-wich. That's more like a channelless channel, if that makes any sense, because it's all one piece. But, yeah, this thing sounds really good now. No, it's really bouncy. I went through, I had 2 thick of washers in it. They were 20 thous. The last time I showed it off, I dropped them down to 16. The tolerances have basically, you know, fixed themselves. There's a hair tap, but I don't really blame it on this knife because this knife is a little funky. It does have one of the first drop alt blades on it. These are pretty sick finish-wise. I wish this one wasn't so beat up, though. I got this on a rep that I specifically bought just for the blade. All that really makes a difference is the finish. Logo's really big on them. And then the spine is not crowned. It's not chamfered. There's nothing. And it is just a flat spine. And it's an interesting feel. It really is. I wish they made uncrowned Tantos because I would totally hunt one of those down. But they just don't exist. They just never made them like that. Which is sad to say. Moving up. This here is one of my knives that is my pride and joy. Another one that I showed off in my rep video. I own a lot of reps. They're basically my go-to. I wouldn't say I'm a BRS stick rider, but they make some good stuff, especially if you want to mess around with them and mod them. This here is another Channel Turbo. I believe this is number 3 that he ever made. That there would be number 4. There were 4 in existence. I believe there are now 3. I own 2, and Dirty D owns another 1. Indiana John owned one for a little bit, and then I believe it got lost in the mail going to Arthur Goins. So that, dropped them down. Dirty D might own more of them. I'm not entirely sure. That dude owns a lot of knives. A lot of knives. And he like, wraps his knives around his house just to flex them. And it's like Kukru levels of madness. But this is another knife. These handle-wise are significantly different than my alts. The Tanto is a little bit bigger in both dimensions and then rounded versus the alt, which is very blocky. It comes across on camera any. But that just makes it a lot heavier. And with the Tanto blade is slightly heavier, so it really does even out. This here is a little bit slower of a knife for me compared to that Turbo Alt. The Turbo Alt is a very speedy knife. I mean, it wants to move. This one's more about flow and just keeping it nice and smooth. Another knife that sounds just amazing. You know, it doesn't get much better than that, especially when it comes to reps. Sure, you have your squiggles and I guess MKC, or not MKC, Minecraft Chicken God, I believe is his name now. He's producing some slabs. I want to get my hands on a set, but they look a little thin for me. And I don't know, I'm just kind of waiting on it, I guess. If you know, the right chance arises, I might pick them up. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's another Turbo channel rep. This one was made perfectly by Turbo. I'm not sure what he was on when he made these, but they are spot on. Probably Adderall is my guess. You know, if you're putting that much time and focus, you know, the channels perfectly match up. You know, they're perfectly flush, both sides. The bottom, again, channels are perfectly flush. You look at this one here, and it's not as bad. You know, I have, again, fixed it up. I bent the channels back into place, but they aren't exactly seamless. You know, you have a lot of little airs on the bottom here. But it's just not perfect. It's just not exactly right. And this thing is spot on. He did not miss a single thing with these handles, which really amazes me. Really amazes me. And if he could, this is like CNC manufactured grade precision on just this set of handles. Just blows my mind. I wish I could produce stuff that's this clean, especially by hand, but I think I got a long journey to go before I reach that point. Moving on, technically this here would be my next cheapest knife. This here is my V1 Monarch. It's had some wear and tear done to her. She is definitely not mint by any sense of the word. I was throwing at concrete earlier today just for Hanson's birthday. But, yeah, she's got dings all over her. But, and, you know, tolerances. Doesn't tap, but you can certainly hear the rattle. It's no tap, it's just the blade moving back and forth. And these are screws, you know, fully tightened. It does have a little bit of play in the bottom of the handles, but I am convinced that is how the V1 Monarch was supposed to be flipped. It doesn't get any better than that. Sure, you can put lube in it, but it just slows down the thing. And these are nice knives unlubed, which is really surprising for something in that price range. I remember paying $1,000 for this, and I was like off my rocker happy that I found a Monarch for $1,000. Because back then they were selling for, you know, $1,350, $1,400. And now they're down at like $700, $800, which is ouch. You know, I'm hoping the market goes back up. Not that I'm ever getting rid of this. This here is my Monarch. It's not moving anywhere. Might as well not exist financially for me because this is my baby. And then moving on to my last current knife. This here is one that people message me to ask me if I even still have it anymore, which it's never leaving me, is my Orca. This bad boy has seen some better days, definitely. Not sure if my camera's focusing or not by how I'm laying it. I can't see, but I'm going to assume that you can see it. The blade has a nice big old notch knocked out of it. I was doing a little bit of tomfoolery and, well, big notch of the blade gone. This here has seen more abuse than probably any other knife on the market out there. Roughly. You know, I've seen clones get blown up with fireworks and all that, and that's definitely a lot harder abuse. But when it comes to actual premium stuff, I don't think anyone's, you know, really beating up their premium knives more than this. Saucy Unicycle might have a run-in for it. He might. Because his Orca, I mean, I think it's just how much he flips it overall. You know, he's not doing anything crazy, but his AVI are just completely flat, which really doesn't affect the knife at all because there's just so much material for this nipple to hit against. But, yeah, this is, I love this knife. Get a little bit of sound in there. Really hard to flip over a desk. It is about that time. She doesn't need new washers. It's just, I don't have access to a hammer and a bench press to put them in and, you know, take it out. So I have to wait a little bit, which means she ain't exactly perfect. There's just a hair of play. Normally you can't even force, like no matter how hard you press, you know, you're not getting those handles to move. There's just a little tiny bit and it just bugs the hell out of me because this thing is normally so much louder than it currently is. I mean, it's just insane. But, yeah, that there is the full knife collection that I currently own. Some stuff that I am definitely going to get when I have the chance is EPS knives. He's a great buddy of mine, Eric, lives out in Michigan, and he's been currently working on the G10 Wraith for 2 years now. I remember meeting him for the first time. He came up to Illinois, and he stopped by, and I was like, dude, when are you dropping these? And I met up with him in, like, I think it was November or December, and he's like, oh, these will be out, you know, end of the year, early January. We're a year later. They still ain't out, you know. And then I stopped by and saw him a month ago, back in October, and I was like, dude, when are you dropping these? When can I get my hands on one? Hell, I'll buy one off you right now. Just name a price. And he's like, I can't do that for you, but they should be dropping soon. I have no idea when soon is, but I am definitely going to get at least one, maybe two of them. But, man, I'm just ecstatic for those to come out eventually. I guess I do own another knife that isn't on this table because it's like one of those knives that I currently own, but I'm selling. Or I have sold, if that makes any sense. I sold it to my good buddy, Gio, Bali Finesse. It's my JK embargo. I don't know the number of that embargo, but it has been bead blasted. It was anode, and then I bead blasted it. The bead blast is way better than the ano on that thing. But just not my cup of tea. That knife is, I don't know, it's just not for me. And he loves it. So I was like, hey, dude, you know, I'll sell it to you for what I paid for it, and it's all yours. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. That's everything I got. I wish I had more to show, but don't have a ton going on right now. But, yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next video, whenever that is. You know, my posting used to be somewhat, you know, time managed, like I had a timeline to it, but right now, up at college, I'm just not doing as much as I used to. I'm not doing any Cerakote work. I'm not doing any mod work. I need to film a video on how to punch out and put in new tane pins, but I just don't. I'm not at my shop. I can't do it. You know, I don't have the materials and the equipment to do stuff anymore. I need to film a video on making my Kraken rehandles and all the processes of that. But again, I'm like at college. I'm not exactly doing the best financially. You know, I'm not like dying out here, but I don't have like money to go fund that sort of thing right now. So it's just the game of there just ain't a lot going on right now, and I felt like I needed to upload. It's been a while, but yeah, I'll probably do some like podcast-y sort of thing with a couple buddies, something like that. You know, something interesting that isn't, you know, just here, look at a knife, here's a couple of knives, you know, here's my EDC, here's my this, here's my that. You know, that's been done a million times. I think there are topics to talk about knife related, at least in the Balisong community, that are pretty interesting, and at least give my side to them. You know, everyone has their own opinions. But yeah, some stuff to come out in the future. No idea when, but when it does happen, be on this channel. Assuming, you know, YouTube doesn't take it down. I don't see why they would. They've been pretty happy with all the current stuff I've put out, but, you know, it is what it is. So anyway, this time, actually, thanks for tuning in. If you liked it, feel free to leave a like. If you like my channel overall, feel free to subscribe. I do keep up to date on my comments, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave them there, and I'll catch you on the next one.